Hi guys, third time's the charm. Keep your fingers crossed. I think we've got this time. So I apologize for that. I did restart the iPad and I am hoping that everything works out okay. I'm not getting any error messages saying that we don't have any connectivity. So, whew, what a day. What a day. I'm seeing everybody. There's Jane and Barbara and Tony. I'm so glad to see you guys. So there's Miss Willow. Hi. Hi, everyone. Now we are not frozen. Thank you so much for being patient. I got to tell you, it has been such a weird day today. Just so many weird things going on. And I wanted so badly to do a project with you guys using the new School of Magic collection that's available. But you guys, I don't know. My owl got hung up somewhere. My FedEx guy, he must be on a break today. It's all right though. We just roll with the punches, right? Because sometimes things happen. You don't know. Who knows what's going on with the FedEx man today? He may be going through some tough times. So, you know, I give him as much grace as I would expect him to give of me. So it's all good. I'm sad that I don't have the beads, but I still have you guys, and we still have the opportunity to get together and hang out and do something fun on this Thursday afternoon, right? So it's all good. We're a little bit behind schedule. I was supposed to go live at 11, but we were holding out. I was pacing the door, waiting for the beads to get here, and you know, it just didn't happen today, but that's okay. Right? That's okay. There's still gorgeous beads to shop on the website. So you guys, it's still a good day in my book. As far as I'm concerned, it's still a good day because, oh my gosh, have you seen those beads? Oh, I can't wait to get my hands on them. It's no wonder like my nerves, like my tummy is full of butterflies because I watched Sarah open all of them and I'm like, oh, they're going to be here any minute. I was so excited. But I'm still excited because they're coming. They're just behind, and that's okay. That's all right. The universe had other plans for me today, so that's okay. All right, so how are you guys doing? How has your week been so far? You guys, Sorry, I was reading a comment and like my brain just kind of trailed right off there. Sorry about that. I am a little distracted. I'm worried about those beads. But so my question actually was, have you guys been hanging around on the Secret Stash group? Because I posted a question last night. I haven't had a chance this morning. Well, it's afternoon now, but I haven't had a chance to go back and kind of read through some of the comments yet. But I asked a really intriguing question, I think, on the Secret Stash group about our Secret Stash group and what you guys have learned from the Secret Stash group, and you know what kind of little wisdom would you give to some of our new members, because our Secret Stash group has grown exponentially. Like, it's huge, you guys. And so I was just wondering how you guys were feeling about that. Do you guys like those kinds of like think about it questions? Let me know. I post from time to time over on Jessie James Beads as Jessie James Beads, and a lot of times you can see at the top it'll say that it was posted by me. So if you're ever curious as to whether it is me or Sarah or Danielle or somebody else posting under Jessie James Beads, you can always see who it is. So if not, I can just leave you a little heart and let you know it was me. I'm thinking about you. Okay, well, so since we kind of had to, scrap our original plans for today, that's totally okay, right? Roll with the punches. So I thought that maybe we would do a couple of easy things. Well, I mean, I always like to keep it easy if possible. I know that sometimes the wire wrapping projects that we do can be a little bit challenging, but every now and then I like to throw in just like a super easy peasy project that you guys can recreate, right? And we've actually done both of these things before, but in having that whole conversation with myself about, well, what should we do and how should we do it and how do I bring it to you guys? How do I bring this up with you? Let's do something we've already done before. How do you say that? So that's just what this is. We're going to do something that we have done before a few times, but part of the reason that we're doing it is because, let me grab my necklace over here. So I've been wearing this necklace quite a lot on some of the lives, and every time I wear this, somebody asks me about it. You guys know the one, you've seen it. Those of you who were part of summer camp know this was one of the summer camp strands, right? That was included in our summer camp bag of goodies, right? And so all I did was just restring this and put this on some chain reaction. And every time I get asked about it, that's what I say. This is, you know, it's a beautiful strand. And my favorite thing to do with my strands is to put them on chain reaction, which I know is a relatively easy thing to do because we're just taking one strand and transferring it over to, you know, bead stringing wire. We're just doing simple crimping and then we're adding our chain reaction, right? Well, I thought, gosh, I don't want to bore everybody by showing them the same thing again because we have done that a few times. But then I have to remind myself that we are like full steam ahead into the gift giving season, right? And a lot of you are stocking up your Etsy shops, your online shops. You are doing craft fairs socially distanced. And it's really good to have a piece like this one that is easy for you to recreate, but still gorgeous. That's like your money maker. You know what I'm saying? So like a lot of times in the past when I've done craft booths, I will have a lot of the same of something. So for instance, if I had one of these, right, one of these necklaces, maybe I had 10 of my favorite Jesse James bead strands on chain reaction and I had all of these displayed for everybody. This is not necessarily what's going to get them into the booth, but this is what's going to get them to spend money in your booth, right? On the outside of your booth, right, or in your featured items on your website, you want your statement pieces to be what draws them in. Those are your higher priced items. Those are the ones that maybe have taken you a little bit longer. You've used your Jesse James beads with maybe, you know, sterling silver or, you know, something that's a little bit more expensive, but it's a glamorous piece that draws them in. That's what you want. You want to catch their eye. And then in the middle section of your website or your booth, right, you want your pieces that are going to be your bread and butter. This is what I would consider a bread and butter piece. This, stretch bracelets, and I have elasticity here if we want to do a stretch bracelet. Those are your bread and butter for your seller, right? That's what you're going to sell. That's going to pay for your booth. It's going to pay for your web space, whatever it is. And then where you have checkout, right? You want all of your extra pieces that maybe are not as expensive as your pieces that are in the front of your booth, but these are like, you want to have things that are like impulse buys. So they're going to be rings, they're going to be more bracelets, and maybe a couple of statement pieces. Like that's just kind of like the general setup. That's the formula that really kind of works. And if you do any kind of look and research into how to set up a craft booth or how to set up a website to sell your own goods, it's pretty much the same formula all the way through, but your bread and butter goes in the middle. So what is bread and butter? This is going to be stuff like this that is absolutely gorgeous, but it did not take you 10 years to make. You know what I'm saying? Like this is something that is amazing and beautiful and people are going to buy it and then they're going to check out your extra expensive pieces and be like, I really love this. I'm going to grab 3 of these and let me go get a snack. And when they go get a snack and they come back and they buy the high end piece, these are your money makers, right? Does that make sense? I hope it does. So I figure that's what we would do. I pulled out 2 really beautiful Design by Me strands because I'm so in love with the glass beads in these. I pulled out a black strand and this kind of crystal strand. And I thought, you know what, let's just restring these on some bead stringing wire and then we can add them to chain reaction. But I did see that Sara had said, should we or could we string chain reaction? You could string with chain reaction and also with SilverSilk. And yes, I don't know why I didn't grab the SilverSilk, but you guys, if you'll give me just a second, I will grab the SilverSilk. Let me, I have to untether myself here. So I'm scooting back in my chair and I'm going to grab my SilverSilk box here because I do have some SilverSilk that we can play with as well. So let's do both of these and let's string these up on SilverSilk. Now the only issue here, the only problem that I have, Miss Sara, with this one is I'm not sure which SilverSilk is on the Jesse James Beads website. I might have to look real quick just because I don't want to like tempt you with something that is not there, right? So let me look real quick. Just pull it up here. Uh-oh. Hold on. So I actually have, you guys, I have the new SilverSilk. I'm so organized. That's funny. That's funny. I love that you think that. Okay, so what's on the website is the new. So that's what we'll use, right? We'll use the brand new ones. Let's see what will go with our strands here. So we'll do one with chain reaction and then we'll do one with this because I do have the new School of Magic colors. I just wasn't sure if I needed to like, it's so hard to like cut into them, you know? So let's see what we've got here. So I'm thinking the crystal strand we'll just use with some chain reaction, right? That seems like a good mix. But then with our black strand here, any of these colors will do. Let's see. Ooh, I'm so drawn to this blue. I just can't help myself. That's really pretty. That's really, really a pretty combination. But honestly, let's hold up all of these because any of these are going to work. Ooh, I don't know. Maybe this one's a better choice. Ooh la la. I like that. Gosh, that's pretty. Oh, it's so hard to choose. Even the red. Now that's a combination for my heart right there. Black and red. Yeah, I like it. All right, last but not least, we have the green. So, oh, it's so hard to choose. That's really pretty. Oh my goodness. I think I like the green and the black because I'm kind of feeling that, like, I even have on my Slytherin earrings today. Maybe we should go with the green. That's what we'll do. We're going with the green and the black. Part of the reason is because I just can't with the blue. I have to wait until the beads get here because this blue just, yeah, no, they're all gorgeous. That gold and black, that's a stunner. I'm telling ya, that's a stunner. All right, so let me be sure before we get started that I've got some end caps here because it wouldn't really do us a whole lot of good if I didn't have any end caps to use. So let me check. I don't know. I think I've got some of the hematite ones. Let's see. Conundrum. So I may have to recycle. I might have to recycle some of my ends here. So give me just a second and then we will. So I try very often to not recycle my SilverSilk ends, and I don't necessarily recommend doing that. You guys realize that I'm in a different kind of position because I teach you guys how to do things, right? And so the pieces that we make, I don't necessarily sell. Although my Etsy shop is open as of recently. But so a lot of times I'll put something together and then I will reuse the pieces, and the SilverSilk ends are one of those things that I reuse. I don't recommend doing that on your own pieces. I definitely do not endorse, like, you know, pulling apart your SilverSilk pieces, you guys. But I do have some ends here. So that's what we're gonna do. Let me see. Okay, so I only have one set of ends, but that's all right. We'll tie it in a knot in the back because you guys will get the same. You'll get the same effect from it, right? Okay, so let's do this. Oh, I'm excited now that I get to play with the SilverSilk too. That's exciting. That was a great idea, Sarah. Thank you for that. Okay, so let's get down to it. We're just going to do some simple stringing, and we are just going to attach these, one with chain reaction and one with the SilverSilk. And you guys, that's your bread and butter. That's what I'm telling you. So if you've ordered the new School of Magic strands, now you've got a really good idea for what you can do with the strands, because sometimes it's hard to break those apart. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Wire in end cones. Yes. So a lot of times, whoops. Probably would help if I turned you around the right way. Come on. Button was sticking there. Okay. So, alrighty. Yeah, so sorry, sidetracked again. You can definitely wire wrap some cones. If you don't have the end caps for SilverSilk, you can wire wrap your own ends on, which I've done several times. And those of you who have a Conetastic at home, that's a tool that you use to create cones. You know, you can get perfect cones every single time. It works really well. The small mandrel for that works really well with the SilverSilk as well. Okay, so Gloria says, let us see a close-up of your earrings. Let me pull one of these off and show it to you. And Sarah can drop a link because we actually did these as a project not too long ago using some of that multicolor artistic wire and some gorgeous Jessie James beads, glass beads. So yeah, those are my earrings that I had on. Okay, so let's get to it, shall we? Shall we? So at first I was going to start with this one, but I'm so excited about the SilverSilk. Let's do the SilverSilk one first. All right, so for those of you who are interested, this is one of the Design by Me strands. You guys, this strand and any of the Design by Me line is available at select Walmart stores. And if you can't find these in your local Walmart, you definitely can get the entire collection on jessiejamesbeads.com. This is an affordable line, but they don't skimp on quality at all. The Design by Me strands are some of the most beautiful strands I think I've ever seen. So yeah, I mean, they're seriously good strands. Like even the mixes are amazing. They always have charms and like toggle clasps. Like the whole collection is just stunning, absolutely stunning. So if you're lucky enough to find them in your Walmart, grab them up when you see them. Otherwise, you can get all of them over on the Jessie James Beads website. And I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. They are awesome. All right, so I'm just going to cut some bead stringing wire here, cutting a little bit more than I would ever need because that's how I do things, you guys know. And I'm using silver bead stringing wire, and I'm going to use crimp tubes just because that's kind of my preference. But if you like the crimp beads instead of the crimp tubes, you do that. Okay, whatever works for you. I'm not going to use a wire guardian or anything like that. Okay, I'm just keeping it super simple here. I do need to grab some jump rings though, real quick. All right, so since I'm not using a wire guardian, we are just going to loop through a jump ring, okay? And we will open the jump ring up to attach it to our SilverSilk at the end, but here in the meantime, we're going to leave it just like it is. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and free the beads. Those are ready. And I'm going to take my crimp tube and I'm going to thread this on to the end of my bead stringing wire. And I'm going to drop that down about an inch and a half. It doesn't take a whole lot to make your little loop here. And I'm going to take a jump ring and I'm just going to thread that on as well. Okay, and now I'm going to take the end of my bead stringing wire and I'm going to take it back down through our crimp tube or crimp bead, whichever one you're using. Okay, and then I'm going to kind of pull that crimp bead up close to our jump ring, but I don't want it to be so close that there isn't any wiggle room. You want to leave yourself. You see there's daylight there, right? You see that wiggle room? Don't pull your crimp all the way up. You want to leave yourself a little bit of a loop there. That's really important. And you want to make sure that your bead stringing wire is not crisscrossing inside that crimp bead. You want to be sure that inside that bead, those two strands of bead stringing wire are running parallel. Okay, that is really important. This is crimping 101. You got to be sure that those bead stringing wires are not crossing, because that creates abrasion. Now I'm using my crimper tool. I'm using that back notch, the one that looks like a shaped macaroni noodle, okay? And that macaroni shape, place your crimp in there, and then you just want to squeeze. You're going to see that's going to separate those two bead stringing wires even further within that crimp bead or crimp tube. And that little hump, that tooth in that macaroni shape is going to take the metal of the bead and bring it down between those two wires to further separate them within the crimp bead. That's why we don't ever smash a crimp flat, okay? Because what you're doing is you are damaging the nylon coating on the outside surface that is holding all of your strands of bead stringing wire together. My bead stringing wire in this piece is 49 strand. So that nylon coating that's on the outside, it's really important that I keep it intact because it's holding 49 strands of teeny tiny microscopic stainless steel wires that are twisted together. It's holding those together. So if you damage that, you're going to start a fray in those wires, and eventually your necklace or your bracelet or your piece is going to come apart. And you can even see, you can double check with your crimp. That's why I like the tubes so much more than the beads, because I really literally can see that crimp. You know, I can see where the two wires are actually separated. Okay, now I'm going to use that notch that's closest to the outer side of the crimp tool, and I want to place that bead in there side to side and give it a good squeeze. Now the reason we do that is just to make it more compact. It's not really a function as far as technique. It's just about tidying up, right? All right, so now if you've crimped properly, you don't need any extra tail here for security or support. You can go ahead and trim that off. Which back in the day when I very first started learning to make jewelry, I always would thread back through all my beads so that I had like this double strand, because I thought, gosh, I need that extra security running through my beads. But the truth is, if you have crimped properly, you don't have to worry about reinforcing your bead stringing wire. It's made to be crimped properly, and then you've got a secure piece of jewelry. So it's made to work, made to work. All right, so I'm going to restring my beads, and the little silver bead, sometimes on the end of your beads, you will have a silver bead or a gold bead. I never toss these, I save these. So if I ever need a spacer bead, I have these, guys. So I don't know what you do with yours, but I always keep mine. I don't ever toss them. Sometimes I include them in the design. It just kind of depends, right? So all I'm going to do is I'm just transferring my beads from my card and my wire here onto my bead stringing wire. And I'm just going to keep the same pattern because the bead team works really hard to put together these beautiful patterns, and I'm going to let them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you definitely can take these apart and you can use the beads however you want to. You can restring them, but I feel like sometimes they're just so darn beautiful the way that they are. So a lot of times when I restring them exactly the way that they came. They really are just a work of art all by themselves, right? Just the way that they are. Okay, so I'm just restringing everything. And as far as the length of your bead stringing wire is concerned, to transfer one strand, you really only need about 10 inches of bead stringing wire. It doesn't take more than that. Okay. So how are we doing out there, guys? Are you looking forward to the weekend? You guys have beady plans for the weekend? Are you working on your holiday jewelry? I've seen a lot of posts on Facebook about you guys working on, you know, gifts for friends and family coming up. You're starting to think about the holidays and, you know, what kind of jewelry gifts you're going to make and or buy from others, because sometimes you just, you know, you see another artist out there that's got a gorgeous piece. And I love that. I love to shop local. I love to shop small and to shop with my fellow artists. So I highly, highly encourage that. If you don't want to make a bunch of pieces for others and you feel like you want to buy from one of the artists that you know. That's really, really important. And I feel like, you know, it's a good thing to support each other in our community, you know? Nicole says she's working on ornament covers. Ooh la la. I like the sound of that. You'll have to post some pictures. All right, so I have transferred all of my beads to my bead stringing wire, and now we're ready to crimp again. And the second crimp is the one that I feel like a lot of people find the most challenging, just because you're working in such a small section here. And the reason is because now you're working not just with an open sided bead stringing wire on either side. Now you've kind of crowded yourself out with beads. Okay, and so again, just gonna string my bead stringing wire through my jump ring, and then I'm going to bring everything close together. Okay, now if you struggle with this part, there's a trick, and I don't always do it. It just kind of depends on how my bead stringing wire is acting that day, and you guys know sometimes it wants to behave and sometimes it doesn't. So a lot of times you just crimp, right? You just you know how you just kind of close your eyes and hope for the best. Sometimes that's what happens right here, because of the placement of that crimp. It's really hard to really see inside that crimp bead to make sure that those wires are not crisscrossing each other. Sometimes it gets twisted in there and you don't even know it until after you've crimped, and then you have to restring the whole thing. So you can go ahead and crimp just like this and hope for the best, but I feel like a lot of times it's easier for me to really know for sure if I will take my bead stringing wire through a bead or two. For one thing, it gives me a little bit more room to kind of pull on my bead stringing wire, and I'm not like up there in that close little area. So now I'm pulling down here a little bit further back, and I really can tell, like, okay, my bead stringing wire, one's going one way and one's going the other way, right? So now when I come in with my crimper tool, I'm less nervous about whether or not those wires are crisscrossing inside there. So I'm going to take that crimp tube, place it in the back notch, and give it a good squeeze. Okay, flip it over here to give it a look-see, and yep, my bead stringing wire was separated. So it was good. It was a good choice, and I'll show you why this is also a good choice. Two really good reasons to do that stringing back through. So just tidying up that crimp a bit. Now, it's easier, or it's not necessarily easier, but it looks better when you trim your bead stringing wire back here between two beads than doing it up here. Because if you do it up here, if you trim it short, right next to the crimp, sometimes the whole thing will kind of sit at a funny little angle and it just won't lay straight. So it helps with that as well. So if you struggle with that kind of crooked crimp bead situation, that's definitely a good way to solve that problem. All right, so now we're ready. Like that was the hardest part of all of this, right? Now we're going to add it to this, and it's going to be amazing. Let me grab my nylon jaw pliers here. All right, so I've got the gorgeous brand new, man, Nile is rocking it. Look at that. Gosh, that's so pretty. Okay, so on the end of your capture chain, mine has a little, see how it's open and there's not any of the ball chain there, just right at the end. I'm going to trim off that little bit because I want to capture the ball chain in my end cap here. Okay, so for those of you who have never used SilverSilk before and never used the end caps, they are super easy to use, particularly when you're using the capture chain that has the that ball chain that is running through the middle of it. You want to just place it inside, right? Take the end, place it into the end cap. Now the trick to this is when you go to close your end cap, you want to close it between two of the balls in the ball chain. Okay, you don't want to close this down on a ball because you will not get a nice secure closure. So what I do is I'll put it into the end cap, and it looks like it's about there are two balls from the ball chain in there, and it looks like I'm between the second and third on the ball chain. And then I use my nylon jaw pliers and very gently start to squeeze. And I don't just do it all in one quick squeeze because I want to go slow and make sure that I really am going to fall between two of the balls in that chain. Okay, so go slow, make sure you've got really good placement, and then you can go ahead and close it up, and it's really super secure. I do recommend using your nylon jaw pliers for this though, just because your regular pliers can mark up that beautiful metal that is on the end of your end cap, and so I'm really gentle with mine because I feel like they're just so beautiful. They have the two S's for SilverSilk on them, which is very artful. I don't want to mess that up at all. Okay, so now as far as attaching this to our strand here. Remember our jump ring here on the end. I'm just going to come in with 2 pairs of chain nose pliers to open up our jump ring, and then I'm just going to thread that onto the loop that's at the end of our SilverSilk. And one is ready to go. Voila! All right, so I just have this one continual piece, and that's the way we're gonna work it at the moment, because I don't have any of the end caps. I don't have another set of end caps, so mine's going to be just one continuous strand. But you would repeat this step 3 more times. Let me trim off the little extra. Okay, so just placing that in there. I'll show you what I mean in a second if I just confused you. But again, I'm just going to come in with my nylon jaw pliers and start to squeeze and make sure that it's going to close between the spaces in the chain. And then we're good to go. Super easy to use these end caps, and they're gorgeous. They really are beautiful. They're definitely not an afterthought. Like, I feel like these end caps are really part of your design because they are so beautiful. And Neela even has some that he has like hand glued beautiful rhinestones and crystals too. I mean, he's just amazing. All right, so there we go. Now, if I had, if this wasn't one continuous piece, obviously I would cut this to have 2 separate strands, and then I would do more end caps. I'd do an end cap on this side and an end cap on this side and do my clasp in the middle. But for now, since we are just kind of playing and I'm just giving you some inspiration, that's what we've got. But I got to tell you, that black strand with the green is amazing. Like, I don't know how it's coming across on camera, but wow, in person, that was like the perfect combination. I'm really feeling that combo. Gosh, that looks good. All right, so we've got one. Let's do one more, and then we'll have 2 necklaces in like record time, you guys. Record time. All right, so I'm going to set this one to the side. We'll put it on a bust in just a few minutes, and you guys can see it, can see the finished piece. And then for this one, we're going to do chain reaction and this strand that is out of this world. Look at the finish on that. That AB finish, the rainbow on that. Oh yeah. I want a whole room made out of that rainbow. Like, I'm serious. It's gorgeous. Really, really gorgeous. Okay, so same thing. We're gonna grab 2 crimp tubes here. Whoop. And grab us 2 more jump rings real quick. All right, there's our 2 jump rings. All right, let's do this. Let me make sure. Yep, I got enough bead string wire. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our crimp tube, we're going to thread it on, bring it down about an inch, inch and a half, and then we are going to thread on our 6mm jump ring and take the end of our bead string wire back through our crimp going in the opposite direction, and then I'm pulling my crimp up close to the jump ring but not super snug. Okay, now I'm going to use the back notch of my crimper tool, place it in that back notch and squeeze, and you can see how I separate those wires out. You see how I'm holding those in my fingers like that before I actually squeeze? That's a really helpful, it's really helpful to do, but you can't do that when you've already thread all your beads on. That's why it makes that second crimp a little bit more tricky, because you can't get in there like that and separate those wires out. All right, now I'm going to put it in the front notch side to side and give it a good squeeze. And we are good to go. And I'm going to go ahead and trim off that little short section of wire. Okay, and now we're ready to thread our strand. And again, there's my second little bead, and now I have 2. So I'm already working on my stash of the little end beads. Those are like really handy, I'm telling you. Super handy little thing to have. All right, just gonna restring because this strand is amazing, just like it is. Hi Becky, no worries. Welcome in. We're just doing some simple stringing, and we're actually doing our second necklace right now. Talking about the bread and butter of your craft booth or your website. And by that I mean the items that are gorgeous but don't cost you a ton of time to put together. Okay, just restring. So, who's got their eye on some of the school magic beads? I definitely am counting down until they get here. I cannot wait. I watched Sarah open all of them and show them all off this morning, and I was like drooling. And I gotta tell you, the Hufflepuff collection, I am not a yellow person. I just am not. I have a really hard time wearing yellow. It makes me look not so well. But oh my gosh, that whole little collection, the strand and the mix, and then throw in the bead stringing wires and the SilverSilk. Oh my gosh. That it took the whole yellow to a whole nother level. I'm a Slytherin house. That's my house, but I was really feeling the love for the Hufflepuff this morning. Seriously beautiful. And of course that Ravenclaw blue. My daughter is going to flip over the Gryffindor red. So good. Like, even if you are not into Harry Potter, those mixes and strands are phenomenal. All right, there's our bead. Our bead, no, this is our strand, not a bead. There's a whole bunch of beads here. But there's our strand. So we just restrung. This is going to be a gorgeous necklace too. All right, so we're just going to thread on our crimp bead. We're going to loop through our 6mm jump ring and back through. Okay, and again, just because I feel like I get a little bit better chances of making sure the bead stringing wire is not crisscrossing, I'm actually going to kind of maneuver that through. A couple of beads there. There it is coming out. Pull everything down here. Try to be gentle when you're pulling everything down. You don't want to use like brute force because you don't want to cause any crazy extra friction again on that bead stringing wire. And I don't want you guys to think that I am, that I feel like the nylon coating on the bead stringing wire is not sturdy. It absolutely is. It's just that I feel like I should do my part to help protect it. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely sturdy. It's going to last a lifetime. It is made with that nylon coating so that it will stand up to wear and tear and abrasion, but I don't want to give it any extra any extra abrasion if I don't have to. You know what I mean? I want to be gentle with it and respectful of that nylon coating as much as possible. All right, so crimp on that back notch. Double check. Yes, it's nice and separated in there. I'm going to take it and put it in the front notch, side to side. Well, if I could get to it. And then squeeze to tidy that up. And then I'm going to come down here where my tail is and trim it off. And we've got a beautiful strand ready to go. Look how pretty. That would be a gorgeous bracelet. Yeah, I'm so in love with this strand. It's kind of ridiculous. Okay, now we've got our chain reaction, and the chain reaction has a split ring on the back of it. I usually take my split ring off. Sometimes I use my split ring as my jump ring. It just kind of depends on what kind of mood I'm in. A lot of times I will just take the split ring off, but these are really good sized split rings. So just like the end beads on your strands, I save these. I have a whole collection of these larger split rings because they come in handy for a lot of things. Okay. All right. Now, want to kind of figure out chain reaction. I do cut some of this so that it is the length that I want. And a lot of times that means that I'll cut the small little section here. So I'm going to start at a crystal on both ends. And I'm actually going to go ahead and attach those before I cut apart the end here. I'm missing a bead. How am I missing? Where am I missing a bead? Am I? I don't see it. It may have snuck away from me. It might have slipped away. It was a bead on a mission. All right, so opening up my jump ring, I'm going to thread on end of my chain reaction here. Close that back. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here on the other side. And I haven't cut my chain reaction apart yet, so it is just one continuous strand still at the moment. But I am going to separate it, and I'll show you where. So a lot of times I want mine to be symmetrical, but other times I want it to be asymmetrical. So it really just, again, depends on kind of the mood, but I want this section here and this section here, but I don't want my necklace to be super long. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this section. And so I'm going to trim those little jump rings that are right there. You can undo them with your pliers if you want to, but that's going to give me my two ends. My two sections of chain reaction are going to be the exact same length. But here's what I've got left over, okay? I have some pretty good length pieces of my chain reaction. And again, just like everything else, I save all of my chain reaction pieces because they look really cool worked into other things. This could be a section of a bracelet, right? That's really beautiful like it is. You can use the little links in other necklaces or bracelets or earrings. They make the coolest earrings ever. So a lot of times if I have really short sections of chain reaction, I'll leave the bead on one end and then maybe 2 or 3 links and stick an ear wire just on the end, and you've got this really cool dangle earring. So don't ever get rid of your short pieces of your chain reaction either. That's good stuff to keep around and have on hand. All right, 2 more jump rings for our ends here, and then a clasp, and then I'll show you what these guys look like on the busts because it doesn't do them justice to be laying here flat. You really have to see these in person, or not in person, but hanging up in a wearable situation, if you will. Okay, so I can't find a clasp and I don't want to have to roll around here and look, so I'm just going to attach my 2 jump rings together. I'm totally cheating today, you guys, but you would just attach your ends just like so, and then before closing one of your jump rings, you would thread on your clasp. I'm just going to hook it to this other one just for time being, and I will find a clasp here in just a moment. All right. Gosh, that's pretty. So there's that one, and here's, yeah. So we've only been together, like, it feels like it's only been a minute. It's been about 45 minutes-ish, and we've made 2 gorgeous necklaces in no amount of time. Like, take out all of the chatting and the teaching and all of that part, and you could do these 2 necklaces in probably 20 minutes. Like, no joke. So yeah, you can definitely put together all of that beautiful money maker in the middle section of your booth or your website together in a really short amount of time, and that's really going to help to, that's going to pay for your business expenses. All right, let me grab the bust here, and I'm going to turn you guys around. Okay. Get you guys up. Every day, I feel like every day I miss the button. All right, guys, so let's start with the SilverSilk one because it's so pretty. They're both just stunning, absolutely stunning. All right, so this is the one on the SilverSilk. Yes, yes, yes. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And the SilverSilk is just like the icing on that most gorgeous strand cake. I gotta tell ya. That's a winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. And it is gonna match. Look, it's gonna match my earrings. I love it. I love it. I'm totally feeling the Slytherin house. Even though I don't have my beads, I'm still celebrating. I'm still enjoying the house of magic, right? All right, so that's that one. Gosh, that's pretty. And then on the chain reaction, this one is so dang pretty too. Gosh, I don't know which one I like more. Oh yeah, this is like out to dinner fancy, right? Like I'm not going out to dinner anytime soon. But eventually, when we do get to go back out to dinner and like dress up and be, normal people and don't have to wear a mask everywhere we go, this is that kind of necklace. Like this I would wear, of course, with my blue jeans and my yoga pants, because I mean, let's be honest, that's just kind of the kind of person that I am. But I would definitely wear this with my little black dress. This would go with absolutely everything. And the crystal kind of white, that's going to make it all the way through winter. It's very wintry, but then you can totally get away with this in the spring and summertime too, because it's like the big snowball bushes, all of the beautiful white little flowers and Easter lilies. And yeah. Yes, please. So these are both really super elegant, right? But minimal time, and that is what you're looking for when it comes to, creating a full selection of things. Of course, you want to have your big statement pieces where you have spent blood, sweat, and tears on those pieces, but there's no guarantee that you're going to sell 5 statement pieces every show, right? Or 5 statement pieces between now and the end of the month to make your payment for your website. That's just reality when it comes to jewelry making, because not everybody is looking to buy a statement piece. You get excited when that happens and it's such a good feeling, but you've got to have some things to sustain yourself in the in-between. And the in-between pieces are going to be these gorgeous pieces that don't take you a ton of time, but are still crowd pleasers. People are going to come back for more of these. And while they're there, after they have experienced the quality of your design and, they get great customer service from you, when they need a specialty piece or when they need a statement item, they're going to come back to you. So again, these pieces are amazing. And even if you didn't have any statement pieces and you just had this as your entire collection of things to sell, you're still going to rock it, right? But if you do have some higher end pieces, this is going to be the draw to get them in, and get them coming back for more. So I hope I've helped you out a little bit. I know that sometimes, particularly for new jewelry makers, that the holiday season in particular, when it comes to selling, can be kind of daunting because you don't really know what you're doing. When I very first started my very first booth, I had already been making jewelry for a really long time. It was like I had that part down. But as far as setting up a booth and trying to figure out pricing and trying to figure out how to set things up to get people in, and even now with setting up a website and trying to figure out, like, what do you feature? What's the bread and butter in the middle? What do you grab people at the end with, right? There's a formula to all of that. And there are things that I wish that I had known then that I know now. So hopefully I've helped you a little bit. And if you ever have questions about that, please don't hesitate to reach out. I've been in this industry for a long time, and I've done a lot of things that have worked and a lot of things that haven't worked. And that's where all the knowledge comes from. All of the things that I have failed at, those are where the learning happens. So please ask me your questions, because chances are I've done it and I can tell you whether it worked or it didn't, and I can save you the trouble. So don't hesitate to ask. Ask in the Secret Stash group. There is so much wealth of knowledge in our Secret Stash group. It is amazing to me. There is so much, so many of us lifting each other up that, no question is not a good question, right? All right, so that's it. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I apologize for the rocky start. I don't know. Facebook was just having a moment. It was either Facebook or my iPad, but one way or another, we got it worked out. So I appreciate you joining me. Thank you for being patient with me. You guys, I will have all of the brand new beads next week. So join me on Maker Monday at 7 p.m. and I will have a design using some of this brand new School of Magic collection beads. So have no fear. We will make beautiful things with all of that as well. All right. In the meantime, you can catch me tomorrow at 1 p.m. on Sara Ellis Designs. If you want to see something else, please don't forget to come back 7 p.m. to see Sarah James, Sarah Ayler, and Kristen Fagan. They are all getting together to do they're using the School of Magic beads, and they're going to put together some really fun jewelry. And I got to tell you, seeing the three of them together, I can't wait. I cannot wait. Some of my favorite people. So I'm looking forward to seeing them all together and being creative. So come and join me while I watch them. You see what I'm saying? Like, let's do this together. All right, guys, that's it. Have a great afternoon and a wonderful weekend. If I don't see you again, I will see you on Monday at 7 p.m. for Maker Monday. Bye, guys.